How's it going, everyone? This is the George here, and today I'm going to be reviewing Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. After many delays and setbacks due to COVID, we finally got the seventh Mission Impossible movie, Dead Reckoning Part 1. Part 2 is supposed to come out next year. I don't know what's going to happen with that due to all these strikes. But once again, Christopher McQuarrie is director. He's been directing the Mission Impossible movies since Rogue Nation. And once again stars Tom Cruise, Simon Pegg, Bing Rams, Rebecca Ferguson, along with new additions like Haley Atwell, Isai Morales, and Pom Klimatev. Sorry if I mispronounced that name. And Henry Czerny returns as Kittredge from the first Mission Impossible movie going back to 1996. And the Mission Impossible movies have been one of those franchises that have improved a lot since it first started. The first Mission Impossible movie I thought was very good. Second one is the only one I don't like. Mission Impossible 3 I like a lot. I thought it was a very good sequel. Then Ghost Protocol took a huge step forward. And then we have gotten great action movies from this franchise in the last 12 to 13 years. Mission Impossible Fallout, the last film that came out in 2018, is probably one of my favorite action movies of all time. It's one of my favorite movies of the 2010s. And overall, I have a blast with that movie. I thought it pushed more with the Mission Impossible movies. And Dead Reckoning Part 1 definitely does that with a lot of the stunt work. Primarily the stunt work with Tom Cruise driving the motorcycle off a cliff. The stuff involving the train. Stuff that we've seen but even before the trailers came out, that when they were showing filming. This is also the movie that during production, because this was being made as COVID was really bad, this was the movie that Tom Cruise flipped out on crew members because they were breaking COVID protocols and production was getting delayed. And he flipped out. He had a Christian Bale rant, if you remember when Christian Bale freaked out during the film of Terminator Salvation on a crew member, not cast member, sorry. Tom Cruise flipped out on crew members for breaking COVID protocol. And, people were comparing him to his character from Tropic Thunder, Les Grossman. But, I kind of understand why he's frustrated because this movie's getting delayed. And, the entertainment industry was being hurt at the time due to a lot of these setbacks in COVID. But this movie, to the movie, this time around, the IMF team is facing off against a rogue AI called the Entity, and all these world powers are trying to get their hands on it. And there's these two parts of a key that plays a big role in the Entity, and all these powers are trying to grab it. And we got obviously the typical Mission Impossible themes, putting on the masks, the chase sequences, whether it's with cars or motorcycles. Ethan Hunt getting portrayed by his country and being chased by them. And Tom Cruise once again does a fantastic job in this performance and does incredible stunt work. He's always finding new ways to push the boundaries. And this guy is 61, 62 years old, and he continues to do crazy, entertaining stunt work. Like, his ceiling continues to grow. He's been in his prime for a while. And regardless of how you feel about Tom Cruise in his personal life, you can't deny that the effort that he puts in, whether it's with performances or stunt work or action, he's always giving his A-plus game. Like, he did a great job. And overall with this movie, while I still came out of this movie thinking Mission Impossible Fallout is still the best Mission Impossible movie, this one is probably second in my opinion. Now, before this movie came out, it was Ghost Protocol. And I love Rogue Nation as well, but I've always enjoyed Ghost Protocol more. But I think this movie is definitely probably the second best. I will say, compared to Mission Impossible Fallout, I think Mission Impossible Fallout had better pacing than Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning. But even still, even though Dead Reckoning is also the longest Mission Impossible movie, there's never a dull moment. I feel like the action does slow down a couple more times compared to Fallout. But even when it slows down, even when we get to the exposition scenes, there's never a dull moment. For example, at the beginning of the film, minor spoiler alert, when Ethan Hunt's having a conversation with Kittredge, like it's not a dull moment because like it feels very tense. Like when these characters are having meetings, when they're talking with each other, like it still feels very intense. There's this scene halfway through the film involving the White Widow, once again played by Vanessa Kirby, and in one of the pieces of this key, and the conversation that's being had with Ethan Hunt, the White Widow, with the villain of the movie, Gabriel, played by Asai Morales. Like it's very intense, and I love that even when there's no action, the meetings, they capture the intensity so well in this movie. And even though this is the longest Mission Impossible movie and the pacing isn't perfect, they keep this thing going very well. Especially because this is also part one of a part two arc, basically. I know, like recently, Tom Cruise said he's open to doing more Mission Impossible movies until he's 80, beyond Dead Reckoning Part 1 and 2. But this is like a Part 1, Part 2 scenario, and Part 1 ones can either be Avengers Infinity War and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse great. You can be Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1, good but not great. But at least the build-up's pretty good. And then I didn't see Fast X, but a lot of people said Fast X was not that great of a part one to what was originally a part two, now part three conclusion to the Fast and Furious movies. Some people said it wasn't all that good. So you could easily mess it up. But the way Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 handles it and the way it ends, it doesn't end on a cliffhanger. It ends with, yeah, there's still work that needs to be done, but this part of the story is finished, and there's something to tell that will feel different in part 2, even though the story's still continuing. Like, you don't feel robbed. It's not like, as much as I love Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse and it's still my favorite movie of the year so far, that cliffhanger, it's like, oh, I want to see more of it. Yeah, I want to see Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 2, but it ends in a way that's still satisfying, even though, and you got what you wanted, even though there's still more story to tell. But yeah, the way the film ended, I think, worked. As far as the rest of the cast goes, Ving Rhames, Simon Pegg are great as always as Luthor and Benji, Ethan's closest friends. Rebecca Ferguson as Elsa, also great as well. Don't expect a whole lot of these characters, though. Really, the character that's the other main focus of this movie, besides Ethan Hunt, is Haley Atwell's character, Grace. She's this burglar who becomes an ally of Ethan Hunt's that at first does not want to get involved, but reluctantly gets involved in the situation. And what I love about her character, this could have easily been another Helena Shaw scenario from like Indiana Jones and Dial of Destiny. But in reality, like this character's motivations, the fact that she doesn't really want to be involved in this at first, like she's trying to get away from all this, like at certain points of the film until a certain point where she realizes that, you know what, like I have a role in this and I need to be involved in this even though I want a clean slate. I thought that was like her character was handled very well. Well, she's a great addition to the Fast and Furious franchise. The way Atwell and Cruise work in this film, I think, worked out very well. Henry Czerny, sorry if I mispronounced that last name. Him returning as Kittredge, I thought was good as well. Palm Klimetev, sorry if I mispronounced that last name. I'm not the best with last names. Named her character, she's the complete opposite of Mantis from Guardians of the Galaxy. Like she plays this like lethal bad guy, and yeah, she was very convincing. Like even though like she's the complete opposite of Mantis, and it's like she's mostly doing action stuff, she still performs this character very well. Vanessa Kirby, I feel like she's given more to do in this film than she did in Fallout. She did very good as well. Um, Asai Morales as Gabriel, the main villain. So this villain has a history with Ethan Hunt. It's like personal connection to Ethan Hunt before he got in the IMF. And going into this film, Philip Seymour Hoffman was always, in my opinion, was my favorite villain performance in a Mission Impossible movie in Mission Impossible 3. And I still believe that. I think his performance was incredible in that movie. And we've gotten some great Mission Impossible villains since then, but to me, no one has topped Philip Seymour Hoffman. This is the closest, though, that we got to doing that, just based on the things that this character is doing. How he tries to hurt Ethan Hunt, how he hurts Ethan Hunt, the personal connection that he has to Ethan Hunt. I think just like all that and the performance from Asai, this is probably my second favorite Mission Impossible villain performance after Philip Seymour Hoffman. I don't know if anyone will ever top that, because rewatching the Mission Impossible movies before Dead Reckoning Part 1, because it's been a while since I seen Mission Impossible 3, I was reminded of what a great villain performance that was. But this is a close second. The stuff involving the train that we've seen in the trailers, the action involving the train, probably my second favorite action sequence involving trains after Spider-Man 2. The soundtrack is once again great as always. And this is definitely one of my top 3 favorite movies of the year. This is up there with Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse and John Wick Chapter 4. I think those two are slightly better. I think John Wick Chapter 4, which is around the same runtime as this film, I enjoyed a little bit more. But it's crazy that these action franchises are stepping up, because we are seeing some franchises going down in quality, particularly superhero franchises. A lot of people always assume superhero movies are the only action movies that we get. But we're getting these other action franchises, John Wick and Mission Impossible, and they continue to push and get better. And more people need to go see these movies. When I saw Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning today, I saw it with my friend. There are only a few other people in the theater. I wish more people would go out and see this movie, because this is a great movie. And also, this involves AI, and I know AI is having an effect on the strikes that are going on in Hollywood, which I will eventually address on this channel, because we got a writer strike and then we got an actor strike, and they involve AI. So I like that this movie is basically coming out at the perfect time, because this is about a rogue AI and trying to control it and prevent it from falling into the wrong hands. But yeah, overall with Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, there's never a dull moment. The action is great. The performances are great. This is my second favorite villain performance in a Mission Impossible movie. Haley Atwell is a great addition to this franchise. And I don't know what's going to happen with Part 2 because of these strikes, if it's going to get delayed or not. I honestly hope not. But again, because of these strikes, we could be getting some delays with movies that come out next year. But as I said, this is my second favorite Mission Impossible movie after Mission Impossible Fallout. It's one of my favorite movies of the year so far. And go see this movie. We need to support great movies. We need to support great movie franchises. I'm going to give Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 an A. Go check this movie out. The Tom Cruise and the team once again pulled it off. And what are your thoughts on Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1? Did you love it? Did you hate it? And what's your favorite Mission Impossible movie? Let me know in the comments down below. And I want to thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe already if you haven't. Please share this with someone that loves Mission Impossible movies. And I hope to see you guys real soon. And just a heads up, I do plan on doing a solo stream addressing some updates with the channel. I know I didn't make any videos last week or last weekend, but I've just been busy, and I'm going to be addressing that and other things going forward with this channel, particularly involving stuff with the writers and actor strikes that are currently going on. But in the meantime, take care, everyone.